Week in review, February 12th, 2024. Just writing an extra note of something I wanted to mention that I forgot to write down. Okay, I'm going to start with comments. I just got back from Colorado. I'll get to that in a minute. But I was there for actually less than 24 hours, just the way I like to travel in and out. And, well, I'll cover that later. Let's go into comments. And you can swim. And you can swim. No, you can swim. A training summit would be amazing. Yearly would no doubt help raise standards and education levels. I could see that if run well, hundreds if not thousands would attend. I agree. We're definitely looking at doing a trainer summit, and I'm laughing because someone a few weeks ago commented how I always say we're definitely looking at or considering, but it's the truth. We are. So I hope we can pull it off this year, later in the year. So yes, a training summit would be amazing. At Joe Castiza C. It was great seeing you and CFHQ main figures in the CrossFit Health Summit. As a physician and CFL2, fired me up to keep fighting the chronic diseases. At Lizard Only Queen. Hi Dave, I really enjoyed the Health Summit. I wish CrossFit could do more of this. As a trainer, this will help me to engage about more health with the athletes and the ones who still hesitate to join CrossFit. Everything that was presented are things that are important in our discussion in the CrossFit community. And then there was another one. No, that was it. So a lot of comments on the Trainer Summit. There was more, but I just have those three that I'm talking about here. And since the week after, or a couple weeks after, it's been cool to see the excitement that's carried on from that. So really good event. Really cool seeing people still talking about it and fired up by it and the impact it can have on their training and on their clients and in their lives. At John George 9423. Hey Dave, great show. You seemed really amped about the benefits associated with Army program you're working on. You discussed the benefits to the soldiers that carry over from this type of training. You mentioned some of those key benefits. When speaking with the upper level administration, do you ever question the diabetes rate amongst the Army? Do they ever talk about these rates and costs associated with treating their personnel with diabetes? Seems like this may be a very big benefit with regards to health and, more importantly, potential cost savings by helping motivate and endorse health and well-being. I wouldn't say no. We have not talked about the diabetes rate in the Army. I don't even know what it is. I imagine it's probably not great. But you know, here in the fire service, the rate of diabetes is pretty high. But no, we don't talk about that in the discussions we have with the Army folks. At Avera 9636. Hold on one second. Doug's caught up in my cord here. Let me clear this. Okay. I think you and Chad Wright should get together for YouTube, chat on various topics that both his and your audience can come together over. CrossFit, firearms, fitness in general, time spent on the SEAL teams, state of the country, world, etc. Chad will inspire your CrossFit audience, and it is no easy task to inspire the CrossFit audience. It is a win-win for all parties. So I don't know who Chad Wright is. Apparently he's a SEAL who's pretty big on YouTube. But the thing is, like, I also don't run in that circle because I'm pretty quiet and don't talk a lot about that time. I'm not one of the go-to SEALs that people look to, and that's by design. I don't want to be known for that. As I've mentioned in other places, I'm really proud of the fact that I'm not known as Dave Castro, the former Navy SEAL or the Navy SEAL. I'm known for what I've done since then and my work with CrossFit. And that means a lot to me. So from that, because I'm not really vocal about it, there is this like circle of SEALs who are more vocal and who kind of all run in the same circle and feed off of each other and help promote each other. Thankfully, I'm not in that circle. And I don't want to be. Because I don't, like, here's some of the things you mentioned. We talk about CrossFit, sure, I'll talk about that. Talk about firearms, sure, I'll talk about that. Fitness in general, yes. Time spent on the SEAL teams, I'm not going to talk about that. So, like, right there, I'm out. State of the country in the world, yeah, probably not going to, with my position with CrossFit and the way, like it or not, I'm a central figure who people look to in one regard or another. If I take stances political or social or whatnot, I have the potential to alienate groups of people within the CrossFit community. And I don't want to alienate anyone in the community or divide the community for things like that. If I alienate or divide people for my decisions regarding programming or for kicking people out of the sport for using drugs, that's okay. But for politics or social issues, I don't really want to talk publicly about that stuff, so I don't alienate people in our community. But anyways, thanks for that comment. At Vindicate8363, Vendor Village is rumored to be an 11 to 15 minute walk from the arena at Will Rogers Memorial Center. True? How will that play out for the vendors? And then there was a few other comments after that. It won't be, it's not 11 to 15 minutes. It's a few hundred yards away. Hey, get down. Doug. Doug. No. Good girl. It's a few hundred meters away. So it's a walk. It's not right next to it. It's going to be a different feeling than what we had in Madison, but it's still going to work out well, and it's still going to be very effective. And we're also programming and creating the schedule. I've been working a lot on the schedule the past few weeks with big breaks in between certain times where we will, I don't want to say drive people, but encourage people to go over to that area, because we're also going to have CrossFit experience type things out there. We're going to have workouts. We're going to have instructional moments. And so the Vendor Village will be a big experience, CrossFit experience for those to engage in. And actually also that whole section is going to be free to the public. So we're going to encourage people from the local area, or if you just want to come and you don't have a ticket but you still want to be part of the whole scene, to go there and do things. So it is true that it is not right there in the Coliseum. It's a few hundred yards away, but we're still going to make it a central part of the event. And we're going to, so Vindicate, I think you're a sponsor, or you've done booths before, so that's why he's probably concerned. He's been a vendor. We're going to make it worth the while for all those who are setting up there. And we got some cool little twists with the schedule and with the games, and something cool that we've never done before that I'm kind of excited about but not ready to talk about, that I think will be a really unique experience. So I'm super fired up right now about programming and planning and setting up the games. I started planning with the schedule a few weeks ago, and that creative juice and flow started flowing, and I'm excited. At Sebastiani4381, Castro, how do you feel about what's happened in the military, from kicking out those that refuse the experimental injection, to trans influencers marketing our armed forces, to DEI and ESG initiatives? How about the Afghanistan withdrawal? Do you consider how that might look to be working with them without taking a stand for the damage Lloyd Austin's leadership has caused? So to my point earlier, there's a lot of that stuff I'm not going to dive into because it'll be highly controversial and polarizing. But I will say this: there are a ton of great and amazing people in the Army and the armed services, armed forces in general. And I feel like we have an opportunity to help them, and we do through this effort. And we're working with some great humans and some great people and some great warriors on this. And I'm really honored to be involved with this effort and excited. And I was going to talk about it at the end, but I'll just talk about it now. We were just in Fort Carson with Command Sergeant Major Holland. He's the Command Sergeant Major of FORSCOM. FORSCOM is in charge of all the operational units of the Army and the reserves and the Guard. So he's the senior enlisted of over 700,000 soldiers, and the senior E9. So he asked us to come out and do some training with 4th ID, who's there in Carson, and some of the senior leadership team from that division. And so we conducted a little event, some workouts, and then we had a talk at the end, and it was a really good experience. And just showing them what we're doing and how we're trying to empower the soldiers and equip them with the tools to be able to perform functional movements at intensity safely and effectively. So I flew in last night for that trip. I left around 10 from San Jose so I could land in Denver and then drive to Colorado Springs in time to watch the Super Bowl. Wanted the Niners to win. I'm not a Niners fan, but it's the local team, so wanted them to win. They did not. And then we conducted the training early this morning. And then this afternoon, I had a flight back. And so I just landed about an hour ago. No, hour and a half, 2 hours ago. And I drove straight here to film this weekend review. And actually to pick up Doug, because she was hanging out here at the ranch. So that's why she's all close to me right now. She missed me. While I was there, I also stopped at a CrossFit gym on the way back. So from Colorado Springs, I was driving back to the airport in Denver, and there's a CrossFit gym called CrossFit NCS, and it's right off the highway. So I stopped by and said hello and met the trainer and met a couple clients. One of the clients was a police officer, and had a great time just chatting with them and showing support for what they're doing. And the trainer was a young kid. He seemed really enthusiastic about learning and growing and developing as a trainer, and so had all the right traits and characteristics you need to succeed as a CrossFit trainer. At Alexander E93, hi Dave, just signed up for my first open while building a CrossFit type home gym. Are the open workouts designed to be manageable to do at home, at least to the stage of quarterfinals? This thought made me question my registration in the last years. Thanks for your efforts in the sport we do. Yes, they are manageable to do at home. Are they necessarily designed to do at home? I would not say they're designed to do at home, but you can easily do them at home with the right equipment. Obviously, you need a few things to do CrossFit, and especially to do something like the Open. I would say they're more designed to be run well in a CrossFit class than they are at home, but you can absolutely do them at home, especially if you have the knowledge on how to do the movement safely and correctly, and if you have the right equipment. At Mind Over Matter 7127, why is there no occupational games? As a former SEAL, I'm curious as to why. I think you're talking about me, not you. As a former SEAL, I'm curious as to why you don't put more of an emphasis on this. Yes, you are talking about me. Men and women who serve at the foundation of CrossFit, why are they not given a bigger platform? We are definitely, so we brought back the Occupational Games. So there's a way to compete, and we're going to have a second stage for them. Well, let me rephrase that. Not the actual Occupational Games or an Occupational Games event like the CrossFit Games. That's what you might mean with that statement. We're kind of easing back into it. So last year we did not have them. In other years we've had various forms of various expressions, but this year we have Occupational Games. So you can sign up and identify as there's a whole list of, military, veteran, active duty, LEO, firefighter, EMS, first responder. So yes, we're doing it, and there will be a second stage people can advance to and compete at another level. With time and as this grows, I would love to have an in-person event. I don't think this year we're going to do that. It's not a viable option with, especially with all the changes we've made, kind of breaking other things off and the way we're setting the season up. This year, having an actual in-person event for the Occupational Games isn't a realistic option. I will say this about all things related to new divisions or new competitions, that for years, I always thought the numbers in the Open or the number of participants, and especially when we used to make regions or regionals or break up the world, the number of people who sign up and are in a given area or a given category should dictate new divisions or not. We kind of honestly, and I was behind this, kind of broke that rule for the adaptive. And what I mean by that is the adaptive divisions typically have really low numbers. Like there's not a lot of people who sign up in those divisions, like a few hundred in some of them. And so then having actual them qualifying to the games. You're talking about a few hundred qualifying to the games, rather than, when you talk, there's hundreds of thousands of individual competitors. So I've always believed that numbers, participation should drive new divisions. And so to this point about the occupational games, guess what? If 50,000, 100,000 occupational athletes were signing up, yeah, I think that would support and signal maybe we should have an in-person event down the road. And that's what I mean by using the numbers to support doing new things. How is my reading of the Bible going? It's going. I'm enjoying it. I just read, I was reading on the way back, on the flight back, the David and Goliath story. So I'm in Samuel, the book of Samuel, and I'm learning a lot. I'm really enjoying the journey. I'm also not reading it like I read last year, where I don't want to say I speed read. I don't speed read, but I just read a lot, and I just consume a lot of a book in a day. I'm not doing that with this. I'm taking my time and enjoying it. And I actually have even a couple different books as companions to read after I read a book, and then I kind of go to those to get a better overview of the themes of the book and what it was about. I don't know if I talked about this, but I'm reading a new international version. And that was a whole journey, just figuring out which version of the Bible to read. But so I'm enjoying the journey. I'm glad I'm doing it. And I look forward to, it's already going to help me tremendously. And this was the intent and the reason why I did it. I mentioned this before, but in a lot of the other books I read, the classics and whatnot, there's a lot of references to biblical themes or to characters or to just the Bible in general. And for that, I wanted to be more educated on it so I can tie it all together better. And I think it's already helping tremendously in that. Oh, I also went on Sevon's podcast a few nights ago. I enjoyed the callers, and I appreciate their discussions, but I was not happy with the callers as a whole, and the fact that we spent so much time with callers. And I told Sevon that, and he doesn't agree with me, and maybe that's because they're fucking paying him. Some of them are putting money into the thing, but I will not do that again. I went there to talk to Sevon and to have a conversation with Sevon, and I don't feel like we had a conversation. I feel like we had a light conversation, and we had a lot of discussion with his callers. So I will do the show again with Sevon, but it will be with Sevon, and I'll take the phone and throw it out the fucking back door if I have to, so we don't do callers. Because some of them in the beginning were just fucking bullshit. They're just assholes fucking around. And so that was, when I left, I was like, that was kind of whatever, almost a waste of time. But so that being said, if you were a caller and you're watching me on this, I still enjoyed some of the discussions, but overall, and especially the callers who just kind of wasted our time, I didn't really appreciate that. So thanks, as always. Post your comments or your thoughts in the comment section, and I will try to get to them next week.